Okay. All right, Dave, can you hear us? Dave. Hello? By his name. Did you do the unmute part? I did, yeah, mute. I don't know if there's anything I gotta do over here. Yeah. You have asked to unmute. He needs to unmute his. Okay. You good, Dave?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and we'll begin the meeting. Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 1:32 and do the pledge. How about Dale? You want to lead us? That's all. Pledge allegiance to the flag. That's okay. Right, we're all going to do the flash. Yes, over here. All right, next we have Steve Ekstrand with the approval of board minutes.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve open session minutes for December 8th, 2 and January 4th, 2023, as well as executive session minutes for November 30th, 2022, December 8th, 2022, January 4th, 2023, January 24th, 2023. You got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next we have member comments. We have quite a few of those. So why don't we start with Rick Ketchum? He had something to bring to the board.
Actually, a couple of things, and I'll try to keep it brief. First, I want to lead with this: a comment, keeping the executive sessions on topics that should be executive, and then allow the membership in on those comments that should not be in executive session. So kudos to you for that. I am concerned. I have. Maybe it's a problem with my email or whatever, but I mean, I know 5 of you that are, were elected this year to these positions this year, all mentioned wanting to ask the membership, survey the membership for different stuff. Like maybe find out what we'd like to see in the dining room. Like, if we have issues on the golf course, whatever. And I don't know if the rest of you haven't gotten any surveys. I haven't gotten any, so I'm wondering if it's my email or what the problem is there. Anybody know?
Don't know that we raise out, but we do have that we do request people to fill out. Those do go to the general manager, and then they are discussed here.
But that doesn't the whole community. That requires somebody to be up here. We got more than just the folks that come up here that are part of our community, and I really think we should include them in giving some feedback on how to be a better community, how to do things that everybody wants, instead of just those who are up here like me talking about. Lastly, and this was, I attended the finance committee, and Bill might be better to address this, but he made mention of that in the last year we were broke. I think is how you put it. At some point in time we were broke. But I went back and looked at stuff. In 2021, we in bad debt collections there's $326,000. In 2022, we had $199,000. We received $230,000 from the federal government of the COVID relief stuff last year. How is it that we could possibly have ever gotten to the point where we're broke unless we're mismanaging money? And I know nobody there is up on this board is trying to purposely do that. And then lastly, regarding the assessment that was done, I understand we've just gotten $500,000 from the government again over the COVID relief program. So I'm assuming that the board will act and repeal the assessment, keep the $55 from January. That can go towards reserve, but I'm assuming that the rest of the assessments will be terminated. Thank you.
All right, well, as far as the finances on that, that'll have to be determined by actually going and dealing with our controller and the finance committee, see where we're at financially. In answer to some of your questions, one of the things that we fail to remember is we do run a zero
Correct.
budget.
Yep.
So in that case, what we're doing is with the finance committee is they're trying to come up with their best estimate of what we're going to spend. Well, if it's off 100,000, we have to make up that 100,000 somewhere because those bills come in. And also we do have increases of costs that we weren't aware of when they first made those. So yes, we would be not pulling in as much money as we should.
If you may remember, I was served as treasurer of this club, so I'm pretty
Correct.
familiar with the process.
Correct.
And I know that Bill and many other people spend hours and hours and hours putting together a budget for this. That's our budget for this year.
Mhm.
If we're losing more money in the restaurant than we should be, then we have to take action there. If we're losing more money in the pro shop, we take action there.
Mhm.
But the point is, with $500,000 that we did not have planned in the budget,
Mhm.
that's $300,000 that can go to pay off whatever we had left to do on in reserves, and $200,000 that can be put into operations.
Mhm.
So that should keep us flush for the year, and I think that we can then terminate this assessment program, because we've got the money that that was only gonna bring in 330, we've got 500. So there's no need for it.
Well, that's your opinion and we appreciate that.
It's
No, it's not fact. It's, you don't have facts to back it, so.
I looked at the financials.
It's okay. I'm fine with that. We'll let the people that deal with our financials come up with what we can deal with. I mean, that's why we have a professional controller in here. And that's what he does. So he doesn't just make up numbers and spend money arbitrarily.
But he has a budget to work
He has a budget,
with by the board.
but he also has bills that come in. And sometimes those are above and beyond what the budget is. So they have to be paid. It does happen. I'm sorry, it is a business. I know your gas bill is probably a little bit higher than it was in December. Like 300%. Just one bill in percent. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next comment.
I was gonna cover it under my
Yeah.
report, if we can just.
Oh, okay.
If you want to.
We did have one from Sue Ketchum.
She has any other reason.
No, I'm good.
And I have no idea what it is about.
Okay, and then we also have one from Dale Boring. Let's do Sue's real quickly.
I have
Her,
no idea what-
no, hers was comment cards are not being replied to. So I know that majority of our comment cards, they come in and then Eric will do these in open board session and respond to them.
Yeah, and I think. Like, when it comes to my report, there's some comment cards that don't need a response to. And some, maybe I could call and I'll do a better job reaching out to some of these.
Okay, then she's also recommended to next door that I guess a lot of these people can make their voices heard by doing comment cards but because there are no replies, she's basically saying that that's not a good option for the members. We need to come up with maybe some better ideas. I think one of the things that we need to keep in mind, as a board member, I eliminated Nextdoor off of my emails. I'm done with that place. I just get nothing but negative. And I'm sure initially the idea was a great idea where people could interact with opinions that would help with the community. But I'm seeing nothing but a bunch of negative comments lately. And so I've eliminated that. And I'm sure a lot of the other board members have as well. So if you want to contact the board members, don't do it through Nextdoor. If you want answers to your problems, come here. That's why we have open board meetings. And that's why we're here, is to take your questions and try to answer them as best to our ability. And if we can't, we'll get back to you with a qualified answer. That's, you know, that's really all I can say on that. We do need to maybe, I know we have member communications and they're very good about giving people the heads up of what's coming on. If you've looked at our newsletters lately, they've greatly improved. Comments, you know, applause to what I'm seeing out there. They're beautiful newsletters, and you guys are doing a great job. So, you know, maybe we need to put more information out in our meetings, but without hearing from anybody, we don't know what you guys are looking for. So. The next guy, I guess, would be Dale Boring.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
You know, I really think that I need to comment a little bit more to Rick Ketchum's concerns. I think I'm not going to say that his concerns were glossed over at all, but you know, this board has always wanted to be as transparent as possible, and I just feel like our membership deserves maybe a little bit more information right now on what the board is considering regarding that windfall of cash. And everybody knows my position on, I was kind of hoping that the board would have elected to wait on that assessment until May or June to see if this money came in. And lo and behold, this money came in early in January. And this board was in a position that we had to look at everything when that money landed. I couldn't revert back to my former position and say, oh, categorically, it's the right thing to do to pay off the entire assessment. So we looked at the finances, Rick, at that point in time, and we looked at how current our finances at our club were. And once again, we were not as current as you would like. We were not as current as I would like. This board worked very hard to identify that our brand has been tarnished over the last few years. In that meeting when we voted on the budget, Bill alluded to the fact, and he's very accurate. We had some periods of time over the last 2 years where our brand at Mission Lakes Country Club was severely tarnished. We had Cisco show up in the parking lot. They would not roll their doors open and bring our food into our restaurant without a check in hand. And I know this is only streamed to our own membership, so I feel like everybody needs to know where we were, where your brand was at that point in time. So when this windfall came in and we got current with that first amount of money last year, and it was wonderful. We've operated for 5 or 6 months, fairly current on our APs, our accounts payable. And here at the end of the year, dealing on that zero balance budget, once again, with no capital or no reserves in our operating account, we find ourselves getting late again. Now, this is a consistent problem at this club year after year. It needs to be dealt with. And the board now finds itself in a unique position. I think there are a lot of members of the board that believe that we need to keep some operating capital. We need to keep our brand strong, our reputation strong. It's going to protect your property values as an equity owner. And so we're looking at the whole picture here. And I know a great deal of members of this board would like to see a rebate back of, if nothing less than a percentage of that assessment. It really appears there's no way we can rebate that entire assessment, like would be wonderful. And if we did, chances are there's going to be some shortfalls. So I just think the information needs to get out there that we're looking at a holistic approach to the finances, what our needs are going to be solvent moving forward on our APs, and what our needs are right now, and what our obligation is to the membership to try and return some of this money. And so that's Rick, that's what we're dealing with right now.
All right, Dale Boring.
thank you, board, for doing what you do. I was on a board some 20 years ago and I said, never again. So, yeah, I'm gonna see you. Susan, I don't know you, so I'm looking for a new girlfriend. You might. Only kidding. I just want to make some comments. My son comes out quite often, my grandsons, whatever, and they're quite good golfers. And it always galls me that when they ride with me, I gotta pay $55 for them to play golf when they don't use a cart. So I think as a family member, they shouldn't have to pay the $20. And I've talked about that before. The only people that pay the $20 are the members. Robert Duncan came into one of the meetings and said, oh, we're gonna raise the cart fees from $15 to $18. I said, oh, okay, more money. But the money comes from all of the members. It doesn't come from the outside play because that cart fee is already included into the fee, right? Just a comment. I was president of the men's club. We had 24 meetings in a row. We had 400 and some members. Now, how many do we have? Barely 200. Why have we lost half of them? I don't know. One of the reasons I think I almost didn't join the men's club this year. Pay my $75 because I'm over 80. Born in 1939, you can do the math. But by having the meetings like you guys do, it brings the guys together. We have accolades for William there, but you know, he did such and such and he made a hole in one or whatever. So it kind of made things good. We either had donuts, one meeting, it was always on Wednesday, and it was always at 6:30, rain or shine, whether we played golf or not, we had a meeting. The next month, we had breakfast. I haven't been up to a men's club meeting in 2 years. Yeah, we know we have COVID. I know we have all these things. The meetings are in the afternoon. Part of it is we don't know when the hell the meetings are. So that one of the secrets in business is everything is the same every day, every day, every day. Hey. We paid $20-some thousand, $18,000 for a barbecue that burns wood. We were all down there, we voted against it, and all of a sudden it passed. That's okay. I don't care about the $18,000 as long as we use it. If we use it, do we use it? No, we don't use it. So however that got through the system, shouldn't have got through the system, in my opinion. The bathroom, the blockhouse out here. I don't care about the $55. It's not going to take any bread from my mouth. But some of the people don't have quite the benefit that I do. I was in business my whole life. I lived in a railroad boxcar for 2 years in Nebraska. I learned a lot of things. Hunger is a great motivator. So I was very motivated, so I wouldn't be hungry. That's that. Palm trees. I got a letter from you guys that my palm trees weren't trimmed. I paid the guy in May to trim my palm trees and make damn sure that they're done by July. He got busy, he didn't get it done. I get a letter, even though I paid my guy. I told Mike Planner and said, please don't send a letter, it's a waste of time. I'm gonna have them done if I have to climb the damn tree myself. But about 5 or 6 years or so ago, the guys were trimming their trees, and I said, hey, I live on Augusta. Can you trim my palm trees? Yeah. Okay, so my point is, as a society here, we can have our guys that trim our trees. We can sign up for it. I got 5 trees for $10 a piece or whatever it is. We can pay in advance, we can do whatever. And then we won't have the problem of finding somebody to do the trees. Because mine are getting quite tall. It's okay, I don't want to go too long here. Being in business, I see so many things that could be improved so much. I do not come up here on Wednesdays for lunch, ever. Why? I can't ever get service. Nothing to do with Eric. Sometimes they can't get the people here or whatever. You gotta bring the food up from downstairs, whatever. Okay. Solution to me would be to have a Japanese buffet, serve yourself. Next week, Mexican buffet, serve yourself, $8.95 or whatever the market's gonna bear. You don't have to have the labor to serve everybody. All you can eat. Even better. On the positive side, the food has increased, quality has increased quite a lot. Rather than the prime rib for Valentine's Day is worth $50. I don't think so, but I don't think it's expensive. Okay. Last thing. We don't do a very good job of taking care of our employees. I've been here 22 years, and I've always thought that we have like twice as much help in the pro shop as what we need. Now, I have never run a pro shop, but I've been to other golf courses that have one guy and we have three. I'm not saying that their guys are better than our guys, but why do we have so much help? I don't know. But they don't make a lot of money, I know that, for their education, for their expertise and so forth. So I've asked the guys, I said, I never take lessons because I don't like lessons. I'm good enough without lessons, but I want to play with you. He said, well, we can. What do you mean you can't? I want a day set up Thursdays, Tuesday afternoon, or whatever time, and have a schedule so the pro and Bobby and John can play with us, and we'll pay them. You can charge whatever, $50 to play 9 holes, or $25 to play 9 holes, or whatever. But get them out, get them to know us, and give them some money. This is one more.
No. I think we're done.
Put the barbecue down on number 8 and 6. You want to sell hamburgers and hot dogs, put the barbecue down at number 6. At 9 o'clock in the morning, whenever it warms up, to 2 o'clock or whatever the last group goes through. They can order the food, they go up, they finish, they get on number 8, they pick up their hamburger, they pay off, and everybody makes money. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Okay, general manager's report.
So I'm gonna go over the financials for November and December, and I'll just do an overview. For the month of November, revenues were under budget by 24,200. Expenses were under budget by 31,400. So for the month, we were better than budget by $7,203 for November. Reserves at the end of November, we had spent 45,400, and at the end of November, total reserve accounting in the account included 361,836 owed to reserves, but the total was 2,489,776. For December, income statement total revenue was 581,119, exceeded budget by 62,250. Total expenses were under budget by $131. Total net profit for December was better than budget by 62,381. Overall for the year, these are pre-audit numbers. Food and beverage, net profit was 101,000, worse than budget. Golf operations, including golf course maintenance and golf shop, net profit was better than budget by 116,000. General administration net profit was 102,000 better than budget. Clubhouse maintenance net profit $89,660 worse than budget. The end net profit was better than budget by 26,300, and pool and rec net profit was worse than budget by $1,000. Overall, pre-audit numbers for the year, net profit was 195,868, not including depreciation. Reserves, we spent $416,000, $802 for the year. Balance at the end of 2022 was $2,573,697, which includes the $350,979, which was borrowed and owed to reserves. Food and beverage happenings. Well, we'll be unveiling a new menu coming up here in the next week for the dining room, which will include a bar menu available Thursday through Saturday night, and a new menu which will be available all 3 nights. So there won't be, each night won't be different. We will continue twice a month the Thursday theme nights, as well as 2 Sunday brunches per month. We will continue to strive to make our dining room more attractive to all, and adding some entertainment like bingo. And we're just waiting on the machine, but we've got bingo coming and other fun events to come. I know we have line dancing coming, and we're looking at sip and paint and another one for flower decorating and things like that. We will be hosting an Ollie lecture series on Thursday, March 2nd. That'll feature Carrie Breham's Discover the Valley's Treasure. So I put some of these flyers in the back there, but basically on the 2nd at 4 o'clock. Ollie basically is the out of Cal State San Bernardino. It's for the senior citizen community, and basically they do seminars, they do tours, they travel around. Ollie stands for Osher Lifelong Learning Institute to our members. So anyways, this is a freebie on March 2nd, so he'll do it probably up in this room. It's also a membership drive for them. So we're hoping to use our facility as one of their areas where they can do seminars at. So that's what we're looking to do. Okay, the ADA bathroom, or the square building over in the corner of there. Restrooms are done. They got a little bit of work to do on them, but now they're working on grading the front part to get ready for the parking lot. The board will be working on that here soon. We'll probably have a special board meeting on that to pick the vendor for that. But our vendor is still struggling to get an electrical permit that we discussed 2 months ago on this from our county. So they are struggling to get that, and we definitely need to get the electrical in before we get the sidewalks and everything put down. So I am pushing them pretty hard on that. Okay, on the pool, you know, as we know, the pool's been down. We did have some major repairs done to it. We have 2 heaters working now. I wasn't ready to send a big email blast out until I know for sure, and hopefully by tomorrow, I see where the temps are. The 2 heaters should get us up to that 84 mark that we like to keep it. But like I said, until I send something out, I'm just crossing my fingers, we keep going. We have a major flow issue that keeping these systems to working all the time. So we'll keep digging into that, but we do have 2 heaters going, and that should be good enough to get it warm. Desert Landscape Project. Hopefully everybody's heard about this. On February 6th, we'll be starting our turf removal project along holes 118, 17. And this project should take about a month to finish. What's it consist of? Removing an estimated 54,811 square feet of grass. With the same 54,811 square feet of weed barrier will be laid down. They're going to install 151 5-gallon variety of plants and 24 Mediterranean palms, all in drip system. We'll also be installing 348 tons of 3H Mojave Desert Gold. There's one other color to go with that. And 26 tons of the gray crested rock, 4 to 8 inches. And then they're going to be adding some little cart trails or cart paths from the homeowners to the golf course or to the cart path, compacting with rocks on that. This is a big project, and this will be funded by Mission Springs Water District and Desert Water Agency, both sharing in the cost for the turf removal incentive programs that are being offered. So MLCC will put up the money to do it. You know, our bid is about 114. Plus, we had to do some things. We've sprayed to kill the grass. We've had to change some sprinkler heads and things like that. We'll turn that all in. At the end of it, we should get a rebate. We could go up to $160,000. That's what the rebate's for. And then we have PWLC was voted in as the contractor for this project, and they'll start on February 6th. We have 4 homeowners running for the board and 3 spots to fill. We have Mr. Jim Nelson, Mr. Ken Clifford, Mr. Jaime Escamilla, and Mr. Dennis Perry running for the board. So next is the member comments, and like I said, I'll do a better job getting back to some of these comments. Some of them I sometimes just don't feel they're warranted, but I do go back to the managers and discuss with them if I do get these comment cards. Why can't the club offer Zelle for payments? I think we did reach that homeowner that answer. Why is the air on in the bar during Monday Night Football when it's 64 degrees out? Witness maintenance workers cutting a hole on the green using their feet to level around the hole. I sit in a restaurant on Christmas Eve, and there's sadly a family in a jacuzzi because the pool still isn't warm enough. And we all miss our beautiful pool. I think it's still beautiful, even though it's cold. I would like to see a new menu. How many times can you eat meatloaf, prime burgers, and airline chicken? Setting a wine tasting from 4 to 6 doesn't seem right. In the past, it started at 6 p.m. You're not thinking of the people that work. Oops, you forgot to post that the bar was closed on Thanksgiving Day. Still, the house on the corner of Clubhouse still has weeds. Just tell me how this owner gets away with this. The concept of providing you with, you publish a menu seems to have left the building. This is not the first time I've ordered something and they tell me they don't have it. On 12/11/22 Sunday's ladies club meal was excellent, every part of it. I especially like the vegetables, which were not overcooked, but just right. Number 11. Please sharpen steak knives, incredibly difficult to cut the beef. Decrease music volume. And that was sort of basic on the comment. I guess I could reach out to that person and say, where was it too loud, but maybe at the pool or somewhere else, but martinis not up to satisfaction, return 2 of them. When will MLC be upgrading their cell phone service or adding a tower or a cell service? Our cell service is very poor here and it has been for years. And so these are some of the things that were sent in today. Member sent me an email today wanting to know why the RV on Oakmont is in the driveway and it's been there for 3 or 4 months. I did reach out to the ACC for that. No good excuse on that. It just hasn't been turned in. So
Mercedes, that's why.
so like a van. It's like a van.
No, I know that.
I would like the board to discuss how, I would like to, the board to discuss how we are, what we can do to communicate to our community of DHS. We have a great dining experience and the facility is open to the public and we should be doing better advertising. When will the website be updated? So I gotta tell you, looking into some of this marketing, we are gonna do a postcard campaign to all different communities around it, not ours, but different communities, probably ours too. We are looking into that. And then I just met with KMIR, the TV station. We're gonna do some advertising on that. And we've been asked to do the signature hole of the month here. We're gonna do it on hole 11 and that'll be aired on one of their sports shows. So we did get that. So that'll be fun to have that come up. The website, I gotta tell you, we use a company called Jonas for our computers. We were using somebody else for our website. We've now moved everything to Jonas. We're getting ready to go live with the new one. And then the whole idea behind it is we take full control of our website. So once we go live, we're going to be doing the upgrades and changes on a daily basis. So this will give us a lot more latitude. So I didn't answer the question all the way, but I expect the new website to go up here the next week. What does that mean when we go to a new website and you'll be getting information on this, but you guys will all have to re-register to get on that website. Okay, but we have all that information can be coming out. Okay, regarding the landscape project and reimbursement from the water company, we are receiving it. Are we receiving a 1099 and how does this affect our nonprofit? So basically with this water district rebates and things like that, because we put the money in and getting a rebate on it, there won't be a 1099 on this. Now, if we get excess money, I mean, that would go on the books and at the end of the year, you would have to vote for that. But for the most part, no 1099 on this. How is profit and loss calculated for the restaurant? Does it include utilities and rental space? Now, the food and beverage, the calculation is based on the monthly P&Ls, all the revenues and expenses, and each month it's reviewed by the finance committee, and basically anybody can pick that up at the end of the month to find out what we're doing on that. So at that, Mr. President, I'm done.
You got it. All right, thank you. Now we're gonna begin the committee reports. First one we have is ACC. The ACC has some new members that we want to put in front of the board for consideration. I'd like to make a motion to approve Sandra Gray, Michelle Lemaster, and Mark Florin to be new members for the ACC committee.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The next 4
portion of business. There's an ADU being built or requesting to be built at 64910 Desert Air Court. The owners are Christine and Dietrich Wecker. It's built within the Mission Lakes guidelines and recommended by the ACC for board approval. So I'd like to make a motion on that. That we approve the ADU.
Yeah, actually, let me make the motion for you.
Okay,
They can make a motion that you approve the ADU.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
Well,
Any discussion?
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I think what I'd like to clarify is that the ADU meets all of the Riverside County requirements as a ADU. And if it's what was a smaller ADU?
Junior ADU.
Junior A, is that what's being built?
That's what actually is being built.
Okay, so we need to be clear and that is what is being built, and we need that documentation prior to allowing this to start.
Mhm.
You know, a junior ADU can be nothing more than a couple rooms with a bathroom, I believe. Perhaps.
Actually, it's
And
a
a bedroom?
bathroom and a bedroom.
So at the end of the day, that could be anything. So, but it needs to be clearly meeting Riverside County's requirements for a ADU.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It need an occupancy permit.
Actually, yes, it requires a building permit, and the fact that it's a dwelling unit means that somebody would occupy it to live in. So that's what the intent is. It's not for storage. It's not for golf carts. It's for actually it's for somebody to sleep in. So.
I guess I would add, since we're discussing it, that it was not necessary for this board to issue a variance. It's out of our hands. This is California state mandated statute, and if the ACC committee finds that they're in compliance with that, this board will be voting on the compliance.
I'd like to make a statement on the ACC. We didn't, the ADU was separate we had a variance for the distance from the back of the fence. That's what we voted on. And we approved it. And that's what the whole thing is all about. The ADU, there's nothing we can do about that whatsoever. It's California law. And that's all I can tell you, and that's what it's all about. It shows in the paperwork that there will be a kitchen, a bathroom, a bedroom, and a shower, just like what an ADU is. So that's where we're at with the ACC. There's a variance for the where the place is going to be put.
Yeah, actually, I believe what the owner was not putting a kitchen in it. It was a bathroom and a bedroom, so that should be stricken from the application.
Well, it has, Jim, I'm pretty familiar with the state statutes, and it's going to require a kitchen. So I think we're going to find that in order to qualify for an ADU, there will have to be some semblance of a kitchen. Even if it's a kitchenette, it will apply. But I boned up pretty good on this subject this week, and I to clarify to Don's point, this board will not be voting on a variance today. It's unnecessary for us to vote on a variance. It's a moot point. California state statute supersedes our bylaws in this case, and there's no need for a variance. So what this board, I believe, the motion is going to be for us to accept the ACC's findings that this complies with both California state law and to Bill's point, County of Riverside.
So just so I'm clear, to Bill's point, we're gonna require that there is a permitted by the county before construction begins. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay,
Jim,
exactly.
Yes.
yeah, being on the ACC for 40 million years and chair, the board has to approve the plans first before you can go to the county to get a permit.
Mhm.
That is required by the county, is that there's this plan
Right.
that you guys approve, then the owners get to take it to the county or the builders.
Right.
So it has nothing, yeah, it's you first, them second.
Right.
And the setbacks are controlled by the county. and the state,
Correct.
Not.
And what the HOA is in control of is the guidelines of the construction itself. So that it would be a stuccoed exterior, tile roof, and the color to match what's existing on the current residence and the overall height. So we do have a say in that.
Okay, so
I'm not 100% sure on it.
if I'm understanding this, then we're gonna get a set of revised plans before we vote on whether or not we're gonna approve this project.
Right, what we had to do was get an initial approval that we would be okay. And then we'll go ahead and provide the plans, because there's no point in putting together $4,000 worth of plans if you guys are gonna say no. So we did a current plot plan and had ECC come out, and take a look at it.
So we're gonna vote at it, so, I mean, we're not voting on anything today.
Well, basically what you're doing is allowing us to go forward. And you're not, in other words, you're not gonna stop the project. And that's what we wanted to make sure, so. Yeah, you'll get a full set of plans that ACC will be able to approve.
And then we'll vote on this at a different date.
Actually, they'll just approve it and that'll be it.
We would do it like the construction.
Yeah, we've already doing that with requirement.
Okay.
So,
It gets confusing as far as the, the priority of what happens first
yeah,
and then what happens later. To Jaime's point, what we need to understand is the ADU is it's covered by the state of California and the county of Riverside and in some cases the cities, but they trump our, as David said, they trump our rules and regs. So we have no recourse. We cannot deny an ADU being built. So
Correct.
that's, to me, that's a no-brainer, non-discussion.
correct.
To Shelley's point, we should have those drawings and yours as well, that are showing what it is in the ADU to make it an ADU, and then vote on accepting those plans.
Correct.
That's my opinion of what I think would be the logical
That's a logical
progress.
Yeah, I
of this.
agree with Bill on that.
Yeah, and you guys did receive, they received an elevation and everything, so they know what it's gonna look like. So they've already received, in fact, Don, you did receive the elevation showing the drawing of what the building is gonna look like.
Right.
So it looks identical to what the house is.
Right.
And the location. So really, in essence, they received what we need to be able to do. They don't need engineered plans. They just need the idea of what the elevation is going to look like and the layout is going to look like. So that's what they needed.
I reviewed this week what was put in front of me. The only thing I wasn't able to review was the plot plan with the setbacks, which was my initial concern. I want the membership to know that the board has done their due diligence. We've referred to Davis Sterling and their interpretation of this new statute. We have referred their interpretation and how it balances with the California state statute. And it's just really clear. I mean, and obviously shining a spotlight on something that I'm just gonna get it out there. This new state statute for communities like ours can turn out to be extremely detrimental. And I personally am going to move for an ad hoc committee moving forward based on what this board is finding with this new statute now. I'd love to get a cross-reference of the people that have served on our boards in the past and on committees. I mean, we've got a huge brain trust of people that have been involved, and I hope they'd be willing to sit on this community to see what tools we have in the toolbox to protect our way of life and protect our community. But I'm gonna challenge every member and property owner here to review this new state statute and to try and get an idea of what it could potentially mean to a community like ours. And then I think we really need to come together and put some really good minds together and find out if there's anything we can do to, we can't stop it, but let's see what tools we might have to make it less palatable, and keep our way of life in Mission Lakes Country Club the way it is now. But I want the members to know we did our due diligence, and we're really, I personally am very comfortable that as far as it pertains to a project like this, our hands are absolutely tied. And so I think we can vote today on approving this project with the plans that have been submitted. And then everything obviously after that point is contingent on a valid Riverside County building permit. And if Riverside County says you don't qualify for an ADU, you need to have a kitchen in here, I'm sure that the people involved in this project will obviously remedy that technicality at that point in time. But I guess I would be comfortable moving forward with what I've learned.
So want to clarify what that motion was then? Are we gonna vote on the
Well-
approval of the concept of an ADU?
Yeah,
As long as
and
it meets the
actually-
legal definition under the state law and the county permit.
So we're gonna acknowledge the law and commit to following. That's all we're really doing.
We follow the law.
Following the Riverside County statutes.
So,
I'd
right.
second that motion if that's a motion.
well, obviously we've had
Yes, that's
discussion.
now a
I mean, I think
Thanks, Dave.
we've done a lot of discussion. Do we have any additional? And so let's go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, do we have anybody here from the condominium association?
They did not make it.
They did not make it. Shoot, okay. Finance and credit committee.
It's good to know that they're really happy now.
Yeah. Come here.
We have, if we didn't have a December meeting, we have 2 months to approve here. So I'd like to move that we approve checks over 1,000 from operations and the reserve accounts for November 2022 and December 2022.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I move to approve the finance and credit reports for November 2022 and December 2022.
Oh, second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a number of RCA's that have accumulated. I'd like to move to consider RFCA, which currently, as we talked before, RCA doesn't exist until it's approved. With the general ledger number is 861305A. And that is for the facility manager to replace a multi-purpose room flooring. That's our exercise room.
Before you cast a vote on that, I need to ask Eric a question, because Pool and Rec wasn't consulted on that particular floor. Not that that's a big deal, but consider that our exercise classes, where we have 12 to 20, 25 people and they're bouncing around, the floor that's approved to go in, it's gotta be a flexible floor to support jumping up and down. And I don't know if your guy, when they went out to bid that type of floor.
So to be honest with you, no, we didn't reach out. We did reach out to the House Committee and we went down there. And they know what it's for. It's for the, for the multi-purpose room for, what's that? I guess I did on the basis of the color and design of it. I mean, I know I did not come to the pool and rec department for that, and I apologize for that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about the color. I'm concerned about how it reacts to people's shoes and feet and hips and knees. That's the important thing, and that's what needs to be considered before we put a new floor down.
So if you want to table this one.
Yeah, we can,
put it off.
Well, I believe when the House Committee brought this up, Eddie, if I'm not mistaken, this is a like-kind product. Eric, if you can, maybe corroborate that we, Eddie, was that a floating floor down in there that's down in there now?
Part that was down there wasn't appropriate either, but it was the best we had at the time. That floor's been down there for 11 to 12 years. And if we're gonna replace it, we need to replace it with one that will be both lasting, but will be easier on our members, because we have a lot of members that are using that room for our fitness classes. And that needs to be taken into consideration, because there are floors for that purpose. It's like a basketball floor. There's some given ones.
Well, I personally,
Consider that.
is Eddie done?
I'm done.
I'm personally very comfortable with Eddie's point, and I think that maybe I would be more comfortable tabling this and giving us another month to make sure that we're actually buying the best product for that room. And if we weren't dealing with the best product before and we've put like kind back in there, that we take a hard look at what else might be available. And Eddie, if you would be involved in that process, if we were to be able to come to you with
Be happy to.
okay.
Yeah, and and for sure, we'll get Mr. Baxter involved, but we did make it totally clear to all the vendors that came in that what it was for. Basically, I mean, I've only seen it for the yoga classes and stretching classes and things like that, so they knew exactly what it was going to be for. But I don't disagree. We'll table it until next month.
motion on that?
I'd like to make a motion that we table that RFCA for another month while we do a little bit more due diligence.
And David, that would be modifying my initial, okay?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that RFCA will be tabled. Going next month.
I do recall discussion in the finance committee meeting about the quality of this floor, Eric, and the supplier that was selected was the one providing the floor that would sustain the.
It's definitely an upgrade from what's in there.
So I'm just gonna say that's what we took from the KBS flooring as the reason that we approved it. Yep. So, we're going to be very critical of any RFCAs that come across the finance committee from now on. And I'll give you an example a little bit later, but just because someone can fill out an RFCA, it better have all the details, qualities and part numbers and expectations. So with that, I'd like to move to RFCA 8613-05 B, and that is the clubhouse flooring on the top floor, which you've all seen it. It is a disaster. It's actually a hazard. That is, let me pull this up here. That is to replace the mix. That's the wrong one. There are too many here. It is, the clubhouse, the top floor, the interlocking vital plank that it's loose and coming up and flaring out and it's not locking in place. It was a very, inexpensive brand that was used. The RCA is for $17,012 and the supplier is KBS Flooring. It's a motion.
Yeah, I'll second.
Do we have any discussions on that?
Yeah, what color is it?
Once again, the House Committee,
No,
it's sort of, it's.
Funny, but
It's a very light, no,
It's a gray brand.
it's like,
It's a, yeah,
It's a dark brown.
okay, so we're also thinking about painting, correct?
Mhm.
Especially this room. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, so as long as the paint, as long as the carpets and drapes and everything else match, I don't have a problem with it, but you know, it's gotta be quality stuff.
Well,
We can go through this again.
I wouldn't mind speaking on behalf of the House Committee or Wendy. I see Wendy there. She certainly would too. I'm going to tell you, Sam, this House Committee, they are workhorses and they work hard and they have done a phenomenal job of spending their time and looking at colors and looking at all these materials and you know, everything they've brought forward so far has been tasteful and this flooring is too. I would like to say, however, that last floor failed miserably. I hope that this next floor performs a little bit better. We even had some experts come in and look at the deflection in our subfloor being the joist system and the underlayment that's underneath there. We have a great deal of deflection in our clubhouse. That flooring system is underbuilt and I think we all know one day we're either going to build a new clubhouse or do a major facelift remodel job on this. And personally, I wouldn't be a huge fan of this particular floor in this circumstance. Honestly, I think its lifespan is probably no better than carpet, but I think a lot of us would love to see a tiled entrance and a plank tiled floor and a real quality look to the entrance of our clubhouse. But we're not in a position at this point in time to do the studies to figure what that deflection is going to actually do in the long term. Now, this is another thing that the proposed future planning committee would be involved in. But as far as the House Committee's findings, we think the safest way to go right now would be this floor, and we think it's going to be a little bit better in the colors were approved by the House Committee, by the general manager, by the facilities manager, and so we're bringing it to the board now.
Okay, thanks.
So to throw some more fuel into this, we had a discussion about our decor and the color of our decor, and particularly this room was included. And the decision we were discussing was, what do we do? Are we going to do just one room at a time, or are we going to look at the entire lobby, hallway? And at that point, Eric went and got the, or you might have, all the different colors that are available for this flooring.
Actually, Eric did, he brought
Yeah,
that
he
in.
did. And so, but the cost is still the same, the charge is still the same. The decision to make that color choice will need to be done after the decision is made about what we do with the paints. Because it obviously doesn't, that is ugly. And
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
anyway, the House Committee needs that flexibility if there is a new paint scheme and trim scheme to decide which flooring color is the best.
So to Bill's point, it's the cart before the horse type thing, and this thing, it actually kind of rolls all the way back to that new carpet we have coming up from the downstairs, coming up the stairs. And I know the House Committee looked in finding something that worked really well with that new carpet where it enters the foyer there. And I think the colors in this flooring are almost going to more dictate the paint scheme. So we've got some pretty basic neutral colors in this combination between the carpet and the flooring. And, it could be like Bill's point. I mean, when we make these color changes, we're going to have to find something that we've already committed to work with. And so I think that's the way the House Committee has approached that. Would you agree with that, Wendy?
I'm sorry, Dave, I wasn't being.
Wendy, I've got a question for you. I got a simple question for you. The actual quality, and that series of that floor, it's all priced the same, I'm assuming. So within that spectrum, if we were to approve that particular type of floor, we have basically 12 choices of colors. So at that point in time, we can put together a legitimate color palette for what we're looking at, and then be able to match something with that floor. So we could actually approve the RFCA for the flooring and just determine the color to be determined, as well as with the other portion of stripping the wallpaper, which is coming up a little bit later. And then picking at that point in time a color that would work. And I think that's what Dave was speaking about.
And I think it also gives us motivation to act quickly on these color schemes, because that's a hazard. So,
well, it is a hazard, and it would be nice to go.
Well, I appreciate where you're coming from, but to be fair to my committee, to these volunteers, they have come up with their color. They're going to put a color forward. The board will have ultimate decision in that, if that's the way this would go. But they had a consensus between their members, the general manager, and the plant facilities manager. And now the board will have to sign off on their choice or choose something else. So I guess that's what I would have to say.
The other thing I wanted to say was that, Sam, I wasn't laughing at your question. I was laughing at my response. You asked what color, and I said brown. I don't know what the name of the color is or the number or anything.
Well, according to this, it's Belmont Hickory.
Well, there you have it, Belmont Hickory.
Sandra has.
I've been here 1 year. And I will tell you that the family and such that I have who comes in here always says, not only here, but the whole community, how beige we are. Is there not a color coordination book together with picking the floors and not have a palette for the whole thing? Because if you're going to do a piecemeal, you may not find what you need when you need it.
Correct.
So just a comment to that.
Right. Okay. Okay, so on the RFC, what are we?
We made the motion.
Okay, so we've got a motion
In that color, color to be determined.
Color to be determined.
But not to exceed $17,012.
Okay.
And the supplier is KBS Flooring.
Second.
Okay, we've got plenty of discussion. So let's take this to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have a color to be determined. Next RFCA.
Okay. RFCA, I move to consider RFCA General Ledger number 861905. D is in David. By our facility manager, it is and the supplier is Roto-Rooter. And it's for the emergency repair on the main line downstairs in the amount of $5,200.
Second.
Any discussion?
Should we charge Roto-Rooter rent? Working on our parking lot? They seem to be storing their vehicles here.
Let's hope no one at Mission Lake owns that.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyways, let's go ahead and take it to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Yeah, I move to approve RCA RCA General Ledger number 8631-05 E as in Edward, by our golf course superintendent for parts to repair our current ball washers in the amount of $2,616, and this vendor is Golf Course Solutions.
I'll second.
We have any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, January.
The Finance and Credit Committee approved RCA 2023A General Ledger 8600-05 on the contingency that the repair of the mixer valve and copper piping for the pool heaters include the part description, the manufacturer's name, and the part numbers for these valves. And I have copies that occurred. So with that, I moved to approve RFCA General Ledger 8600-05, and the vendor is Roto-Rooter, and the cost is $11,500.
I'll second.
And they are working now.
Two of them are working right
Okay. And we're gonna get the third eventually here. Okay. Any other discussion on this?
Do the monies include the third one that isn't currently working?
Yes.
Yeah, except that it sounds like there might be another issue, right?
now. A little flow issue or
The water
not
flow.
enough water pressure getting
But
to
the
that.
mixing valves
Are brand new.
that's brand new. That part's done. You piping.
I think, from my perspective, the typical automotive mechanic and the shade tree mechanic starts replacing parts, and in hopes that he's replacing the right parts to fix the problem. We need to focus on replacing the right parts to fix the problem, as opposed to just start in with an idea of what you may think is wrong. That's all I'm going to say.
You know, I'd like to comment as well, Bill. You know, I think a lot of board members have been in close contact with our general manager on this issue. And the fact that this pool has been down for this period of time has not been lost on this board. It has not been lost on this general manager. This is the last thing I would have wished for this general manager. Any of this board would have wished for this poor general manager his first year here. I guess to oversimplify for the membership on the decisions that were made and why they were made and how they were made, the quickest way we could have resolved this issue would have been a complete abandonment of this system that's in place. And that is not the greatest system. If you were to research, it is not the greatest system that's come down the pike, the way this was originally plumbed in. But we're relatively plot committed to this system. Had we wanted to get up and down quickly, we probably could have done it in a 4 to 5 week period of time, and it would have cost this membership well over $100,000. This general manager cares about, this board of directors cares about the money that the members spend. We wish we could have got up and down in 6 or 8 weeks, but it just wasn't possible. Identifying the parts that we needed and then trying to locate them. So a huge percentage of this project lasting so long was in the effort to save the membership $80,000, $70,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in this process. Would we make the same decision next time? I think possibly some other decisions would be made. And I think that we probably would have brought 2 or 3 different outfits in, to Bill's point, that deal in these resort style pools. So we got a new facilities manager in Richard, and he's working hard to do his job, but it's a big job. So I just felt like the members need to know what some of these board members have found out along the way, and certainly in Eric's defense on how this thing is proceeded.
In addition, it's also fair to say that I've also tried to find those pool heaters. They're obviously obsolete for some time. I can't even find our model number, which is P-0502. B as in boy. I can't find them anywhere. So those are very old. They're 500,000 BTUs each. And there's 3 of them. And so the thing that got me when I'm looking at the technical aspects of it, they're only 82% efficient. And at the cost of our natural gas these days, that's a lot of money to perhaps throw away. You know, another 10% efficiency is easily obtainable, but as David says, at a cost. And so, as improvements are needed in this old club, that may be one of the improvements that need to be done earlier than later. Okay.
And talking about the cost of natural gas and stuff, don't we have a preheating, a solar style preheating system?
Yes, we do. And we spoke about that heating system is on top of the cart barn. It requires annual maintenance because it's exposed to the sun. There are leaks in a header that occur every year, and it just needs to be fixed. That it's still functional. There's 2 motors that run this. It's ready to go. It just needs to be the leaks need to be fixed, and it needs to be replumbed.
Yeah, and this time of year they're not that efficient.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the problems you run into.
But your point is exactly right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay. Sorry we broke into this one a little early, but please consider RFCA 2023-B of General Ledger number 8613-05 submitted by the House Committee, approved by the Finance Committee for the removal of the wallpaper in this room and painting the walls. And get rid of this old materials. And the amount is not to exceed $7,600. And who's the supplier?
Right painting.
Yeah, right painting.
Right. Oh,
Yeah, it also includes the repair of any drywall that is damaged and the removal of the.
Correct, and because we expect that once you pull this off, and you all have done wallpaper, there may be some holes in patch, so it includes that.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, Peggy brought up, I think it was for you, Peggy, at the agenda meeting, that we have some really nice, I think Tom Stocker might have posted pictures of it, of the architecture, the designers' plans for our gorgeous lake style clubhouse.
Yeah, we
Oh,
actually
we put it in the back, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the color palette in that.
Yeah.
And I'm a little concerned about a white and brown theme, maybe being historically accurate to our type of architecture, but maybe just look a little dated for resort in 2023. So I just would like maybe one more look at the colors and maybe look at something like this where we spend a lot of money with professional designers to really try to, come up with a more modern look.
That was a David. We hired the designer to do that in 2020.
Yeah.
For the remodel of this entire clubhouse.
Give you guys
Yeah.
a look at it. Get this right.
Show the show the owl here so the people at home can see.
That's of our.
So that's not white.
Balcony.
It is.
So you like that color palette?
I do. I mean, I was thinking the beams be dark, you know, I thought, I just think it thought darker brown.
Right, not a chocolate brown, I think would.
That's a lighter brown.
Yeah.
You know, to Steve's point, I think, once again, and to Bill's point before on the floor, I think these recommendations come out of the House committee, and like every other committee's recommendation, I feel like the more eyes, the better on colors, the more eyes, the better on these things. And so the final decision on colors obviously would need to rest with the board.
So anyways, we'll just do color to be determined on this as well. And, but, well, anybody have any other discussion on this?
One of the discussions we had on this was to potentially table this until we find out what the colors are. That's what we spoke about.
Right, but like you said, you know, we can, maybe in the interim, we can come up with a color palette. I don't think this guy's gonna be able to jump on it right away anyway.
We have that on those.
Yeah, in the right painting, it says color to be determined.
Correct. Yeah.
Hey, I would also like to say that I suggested to the House committee, this plank flooring is really relatively inexpensive, and my thought was we bring in several cases of this and we install some of this plank flooring on the floor in our foyer, and we look at it, and your best determination is going to be when you get 15 or 20 of these pieces put together, and then you really get a good idea. You look at a 1 foot by 1 foot square, and boy, you think it's great. Then you do the whole clubhouse and you go, wow, it changed. So, you know, I think that the House committee was receptive to that idea to bring a few cases of this flooring in. And I think the board of directors, the general manager, facilities manager should meet with the House committee and look at that floor when it's dropped in place and find out if it looks as good next to that carpet and next to, you know, in the foyer is what they think it does. Does that make sense?
Yes, I happen to agree with that. When I remember when we put this in, we came in and looked at it and I thought, boy, that really looks nice. But when you look at it now, with all the roller coaster texture on it and the seams that are exposed and then the separation, it doesn't look so good. So,
No.
It
I
doesn't
agree.
look anything like the stuff that's out in the shed. The stuff that's out in the shed is a lot lighter color.
Is it? Yeah, okay.
Okay. Good. Oh.
So we're going to vote to be color to be determined, Jim, is that correct?
Oh, we'll just, the color to be determined.
Okay.
That's what the contract is written up as well.
I just have to say, to follow up with Steve's comment is, we paid a lot of money to have a professional come in and pick colors and stuff. We may not be tearing down walls and stuff, but this report was done, $40,000. And it only seems to me like anytime I've done just painting our house and asked a few people, when I've used an interior decorator, it always comes out better. So as hard of work as the House committee is doing, I really, really suggest that they go back, pull out this report and actually look at what colors the flooring was suggested to be. I'm sure that and the paint colors were all specific.
Sure.
And so
I'm sure.
I just really strongly say, rather than just saying color to be determined, because who's going to do that? You guys?
And that was not determined. There were not colors specifically chosen. There was not a floor color. There was not a wall color. Those are the artist renderings that we got from the architect. And we're more than those colors are exactly what we had in mind. So
Yeah, that's very true. When we hired we had the architect that came in with the original plans for the redo of the clubhouse. But then we hired this guy to do the rendering. That's where the money came and he did this. But Wendy's right, there were not specific colors or floor types. I'm sure he could provide that. He knew what they were, but that's, you know, there's additional money there. So we didn't get that at the time.
But that is exactly though what the House Committee has in mind, that not the sand wedge one, but the big one is exactly what the House Committee was going after with the whitish color, cream color walls and the brown beams, and then the floor hopefully match, or not hopefully, but the brown beams matching the flooring.
And the board and the House Committee at that time did agree together that that rendering was what we were looking at.
Right.
If I remember correctly, Wendy and part of her committee have done some site visits and looked at some similar color scheme concepts in place. Am I remembering that right, Wendy? What was the that one location you showed me pictures of?
That was Azure Palms. And that was, well, there were two different places. I can't remember the name of the other place.
Chaparral, wasn't it?
Chaparral's interior designer. We got a brochure from them, but we didn't have the opportunity to look at this brochure and his work. But the Azure Palms is the one that you're talking about, Dave. And that wasn't so much color scheme as just
Concept?
Yeah, more of a concept of
Okay.
a little bit more minimal. And that was for the inns, not for the clubhouse.
Well, maybe to Connie's point, we've left this thing, we're gonna vote on it, but we're gonna leave the colors, you know, open-ended right now. And we certainly, I guess, have the ability to bring in an interior designer to sign off on these or tweak it if that's what the board sees fit.
Actually, the cost of an interior designer is so minimal, when you're looking at the overall project and the whole entire building up here. It's literally pennies compared to what the entire cost is. I know one of the things you brought up was getting a larger selection of the flooring and that type of stuff. One thing that's great with an interior designer is being that that's their profession. They know what it's going to look like putting these colors together. They also know what it's going to look like, what the floor will look like. It's our job to convey what we would like to see as far as, do we want something more updated, more bright, that type of thing, more contemporary, or if you want something that's more traditional, that type of style. But other than that, they can come up with some pretty great ideas. And it's
Jim,
money
also a neighbor of Jim and I is an award-winning interior designer. And I mean, I think once again, we have such incredible resources in-house of people that would probably even volunteer if a person was comfortable with that. But yeah, I think the money would probably be well spent rather than get it done and wind up repainting trim again because we were off a shade or two.
Exactly. But that's to be determined, and that doesn't cost me really anything more. So we need to, we still have that motion on the floor, correct? And so let's just go ahead and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go ahead and move forward with that that portion at RPA.
Okay, a little background on this next general ledger 8632-05. During the process of preparing to kill the grass in the desertscape area and change the irrigation to go on the outside of the golf cart path, I was discovered that our 12-inch, which is a big gate valve, is broken and you can't shut it off. And the only way to shut it off is to shut down other valves, and it actually shuts down about or circuits, something like that. So many other holes are shut off. So this is to replace that broken gate valve. And it's requested by Raphael, Calcura superintendent. Is it Sunrise?
Yes, Sunrise Golf.
And the vendor is Sunrise, and the amount is not to exceed $10,000. This is a large valve. It's very deep under the surface. It requires quite a bit of structural integrity to allow this.
It's united.
Which one? That's it, not to.
Yeah, not to exceed when we first turned it in. but it's
Oh,
united with-
my mistake.
Yeah.
My mistake. It's still not to exceed $10,000. The quote from United is $9,075. That's my motion.
Second.
Hey,
All in favor?
discussion? Are we gonna call for discussion?
I guess we can.
Okay, Bill, refresh my, it cut out a little bit that, we're talking a 12-inch mainline valve, is that what we're talking about?
Correct. The gate
Okay.
valve, yes. And you
And
know,
is that a butterfly valve? Do you know how that valving works? Is it a big round handle, or what are we talking about on that? Is it a quarter turn butterfly valve? I guess what I'm gonna say is, I have dozens of these on my operation. I change these things out every couple of years. You know, I'm paying a tenth of that price for the valve itself. How many bids did we get on this project?
That's rebuild.
1, 2,
Just two.
Two bids, and Bill, those bids were close.
yeah, within, you know, one was not to exceed 10,000, the other one was $9,075. So they're
10%.
obviously relatively close.
The specifications on that bill, did they have weld-in adapters that they were replacing too, or did they specify if that was just a bolt-in valve?
Well, they're using compression couplings.
Compression couplings? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so they won't need to do any. The compression couplings are very expensive too. So if they're supplying new compression couplings in that, I can see it. I'm comfortable if those two bids were close to the same price.
Yeah, David, the materials are $5,500.
Okay,
There's also an enclosure that this valve goes inside of. That's included in this.
oh, and they're replacing that as well.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
And the labor, the equipment to bring in to work on it, and the labor is $35.50. So
Okay,
it passes the smell test.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, back to the vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Okay. The last one is RFCA General Ledger number 8603-05, and that is submitted by Full and Rec and approved by the Finance Committee. And for the amount of $6,300, and that is to upgrade our tennis pickleball court lighting system. That is old quartz halogen system to be replaced with LED lighting, and the supplier is Vintage, and they do this type of work with other tennis courts in the valley. The amount is not to exceed $6,300, and that is using our current stanchions and our current height of our stanchions. Because these LED lights are matched to that height. They're not too close, they're not too far away. That is the proposal.
Second.
any discussion?
Yeah, I'd say that's money well spent right there. The savings in LED over those old quartz halogens is going to be dramatic. And
Yeah,
they're going to last forever.
Right.
There was one thing mentioned by a member that actually made some sense. And that would be the addition of a timer. which actually does make pretty good sense, so somebody just doesn't walk off and leave them. Leave our lights
We have
on.
timers in place.
There are timers that are on there?
Yeah, but they need to be updated. I wish when we did this project, I wish the Pool and Rec would consider switching this out so we can disable certain bays. Right now, my finding was when I was preparing for that concert on our 50th anniversary, we went through a lot to get power out there, and we went through a lot to disable lights and enable lights. But it'd be kind of neat if we had some stations that we were able to, if we ever used it again in the future, if only you were using, well, right now, I guess we can split the two courts, one side to the other. But we've got two stations now, and some of the lights come on both courts at the same time. So it's a little bit not the greatest program, but maybe we could look at that while we're making the changes.
Yeah, that might be something to
Yeah,
consider.
and I agree with that. And LED lights turn on instantly, and are as bright as they're going to get, as opposed to some of these old quartz halogen bulbs take a while to warm up. And do they? It takes a while for these lights.
Yeah, they come
So that's probably why people leave them on. So that's
One last thing, Bill, this is a 40-year-old system.
Yeah.
that's out there.
Yeah.
And we had 3 different contractors that came out, and I worked with Eric on a couple of them. And we had quotes as high as $20,000 to repair this system without changing the height of the light stand. So what we're getting here for $6,000, as Dave alluded to, will more than pay for itself in 3 or 4 years.
correct.
And your savings of
The electricity costs.
and it's not as easy to shut those lights off when you're dealing with a 40-year-old system. Because how we wire it back there is different than how we would wire it today. So we just have to work with what we've got.
How many watts are those new LEDs? Are they 3500s or are they bigger than that?
I mean, look, 300
300.
LED, yeah. The new 300-watt LED 6,000 K court lights. There's 16 of them.
Oh, 16, okay.
The existing lights we have 16,000-watt halogen lights, and this replaces those, obviously.
Yeah, they're equivalent 1,000 watt.
Could I ask, Eddie, how did we get the recommendation on those particular lights? Was this from the contractor that had experience in that high bay tennis court lighting?
Yes, it was. And there was someone that Eric was familiar with that had done work before.
Yeah, not this one per se. I brought in the other two there, but they wanted to replace everything when they came in and talked to us. So, this is just to replace what we have up there with LED lights and, a lot better performing lights. So for the tennis court.
So I don't know what the existing lumens is and the lighting brightness, but these are 5,500 K bulbs, which is the bright color, and they put out 39,000 lumens. It's equivalent to a 1,000-watt halogen.
Mr.
Oh,
Stalker?
they sound great.
Yeah. Mr. Stalker has a question.
Do they guarantee that there's adequate lighting for recreational tennis? I mean, we took readings, what's out there now, right? And, there should be 200 lumens for recreational tennis. I would think they're aware of that.
Yeah,
Eric, they are. Yes, no, they are.
They put a guarantee in there somewhere.
They just basically said it's going to overwhelm us what we have now.
Okay.
You should light up tennis ball.
Out there, you get hurt out there right now.
Okay, so Bill, you got it all then, right? That was the last one.
we haven't voted on it yet.
Oh, I thought we did vote on that one. Okay.
We have a second.
Okay, we have a second?
Yeah.
All right, and all in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Okay.
Hey, Jim, before we go to the golf committee, can I just make a present real quick? Sure. So I just want to give some some props before he takes off back there, but Mr. Stark, wanted to donate a picture to the board, and I think I showed this to you guys the other day, but I wanted to show it to everybody else, so. Anyways, that was Mr. Stark's donation to the clubhouse.
Thank you very much.
No.
Okay, golf committee.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Shelley Daly to give the golf committee report.
I can do that. Okay, we had our golf committee meeting a week ago Friday, and we have some upcoming events. One of them is the MGA WGA Senior Club Championship, which will be held February 4th and 5th. For all WGA MGA members, please sign up on Chelsea by this coming Wednesday if you want to play in that. The Super Bowl Scramble will be Sunday, February 12th. Go Niners, because they'll be in it. This event, well, I'm just predicting. This event is open to all members of MLCC as long as they have a handicap. Please again, sign up on Chelsea. It's already on. Sign up. The WGA Eclectic will be held the weekend of February 18th and 19th with an 8 a.m. shotgun. There'll be a meeting of all WGA members where we'll give an award that we should have given in December to the most improved player. We may do it this coming month, or in January, but we're basically looking at February to get it done for. February 26th is the couples tournament. It's sort of a mini kind of Sadie Hawkins kind of whatever. You can play with your spouse if you wish, if you really like them and like their game. And if you don't, you can select anybody you want, whether it's male, female, 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 male, male, whatever. Just pick somebody, and especially if you're not happy with your spouse and his or her game, just find somebody. Okay. David Goldstein is beginning his work on getting CIF back here. That's a California Institute or Scholastic Institute of Federation that we want to have that group back here again. So he's starting that process that we get the high school boys back here for the sectional championship, which will be great. Eric was approached by 2 members to have a pro-am tournament here at MLCC. The event would take place on or around May 20th. He's still working on the details and will report back to the golf committee once he has more information. This would be our chapter, correct? Our pro chapter area.
The community, yeah.
Yes, and it would involve the community. So 2 of our members have requested this, and we'll see where that goes at that point. The committee also commented, and some of you have approached me and a few others about this, on our backstop on number 17. The original design called for a shaved backstop, so most of us tried to aim that ball up there on 17 and then just watch it trickle down closer to the hole we hoped, or in the hole. So David was going to get together with Raphael, because Raphael wasn't here when that was done, and take a look at the original plans. And I noticed on Friday there was a little shaving going on. Now we need to kind of just get it all taken care of. Yeah, shave it. Oh, it is now?
Yeah, it's
Good.
done.
Okay, good. And that's important.
And also on hole number 10.
10, yes. So he's handling that easily. Okay. There's a discussion also on regarding the rating of the orange green and the orange tees. David is going to be talking to a couple of professional raters, and he's getting ready to order new scorecards. So you can't have all the ratings on there, but there'll be at least, we'll get some semblance of order and the right rating. For example, the green orange, which is kind of, for me, and I think for most women that play green orange, having orange a number 12 with a pop for my handicap it's not good. That's not correct. So, I mean, it should, so there's some changes that need to occur. The other thing is switching, and this actually came from some of the men from the MGA, even though we women would say we would love to switch the gold and the green on number 11. Well, some of the men brought it to the golf committee and said, why don't we switch them?
So that is in transition right now also. Which makes a lot of the women.
I thought it was a 5-car for the women.
It is, and it's only a difference a difference of 15 to 20 yards. So it's still a par 5, you know, no matter, I don't care how you look at it. But you guys can move back a little bit, don't
Remember,
it's only.
you don't have to switch them too. You could also just put them the green and the gold.
Yeah, you can do that too. So David's taking care of that and looking into that. So it was supposed to have been done this week, but other things have been happening. And finally, the committee believes, we have a calendar ready to go. We're meeting Monday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to finalize that. So, we thought it would be ready today, but I didn't get enough votes in because people were like, I don't want to waste the ink to print it out. I'll see you at the meeting. So we'll wait until the March meeting, unless you have another meeting before that we can present it prior to the March meeting. I have 2 requests of the board. The first request is I'm asking the board to approve the Ryder Cup scheduled for March 23rd, Canada versus the United States, with a 12:30 shotgun and dinner to follow. So I'm asking Steve to make the motion.
March 23rd.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Ryder Cup schedule for March 23rd, 2023.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I like this. A couple things. First of all, I'd like to know who our member president is, the men's. I have not seen anybody. And we have had no hearing whatsoever, like Dale was talking about. And then also I'd like to, I've noticed the Super Bowl scramble has not been put on.
It's on Chelsea.
It's on Chelsea, that's all.
Yeah,
Every other tournament is sent out.
the reason why David's
email.
holding off on this is to find out where he can visit San Francisco against Kansas City or Cincinnati. He's looking at that. So that'll be happening. We'll get it on Monday, but it is on there. Make your own foursome. If you don't have a foursome, you'll be put with others, you know. Well, because it'll be where it doesn't matter. He wants to wait till Sunday. It's an MLCC event. David has the MGAW support. So
What about our president?
Well, I don't know. I can't.
No, it's not going on. We need to find out what's happening.
I understand. I mean, some of you that know, I understand Steve Bronick has.
Yeah, we have
taken over.
Steve Bronick. Yeah. He's getting things together. He's kind of new. To the best of my knowledge, I think we're having a meeting next Saturday morning. But hopefully they'll put that out in the email. Okay. Hopefully.
Yeah, prior to the senior. Yeah.
Because what's happening is nobody's showing up.
Well, we had some problems. I mean, we had a guy quit, stuff like that.
Okay, so I have
Yeah,
and
so
now I need a vote.
we're just doing discussion. I don't think anybody have a discussion on it?
Yeah, so that's a Thursday?
Yes, it's
Why?
a 12 because they want to have a dinner afterwards. It's always.
We can't have dinner on the weekends.
12:30 shotgun. That means the restaurant would be closed on a Friday or
All right.
Saturday.
All right, I'll put it up to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Because he's working. You could be a little ill.
Working.
Okay, all right, the last request I have, and it's called FORE, the Kids Golf Tournament. To be held April 30th. This is a morning shotgun on that day. The fundraiser benefits the Arts Foundation of Desert Hot Springs for the children. There'd be about 40 players, and they would also have lunch up here and a silent auction. So we'll get a little revenue with this. We have enough carts for all of this, so I'm hoping that you will approve that tournament on April 30th. See?
What day of the week?
Saturday.
Saturday. I make a motion that we approve the charity tournament for Saturday, April 30th.
April 30th is a Sunday.
Or Sunday, I'm
Sunday.
sorry, Sunday.
Sunday.
And what day? Yeah.
We can't do this on a Thursday.
Yeah, we can put it on your side. That's one thing you can play in, and it's for right, for the art programs, just for our kids here in DHS.
You're
Yeah, you want it
you're
under-
killing me.
I know how you feel. Okay,
His schedule will probably change.
So it is open to our members.
it's
to
open
play?
to our members and we're thinking to be about 40, maybe more.
Oh, okay.
But Adam Sanchez is the one that's kind of spearheading this
Okay.
from the city. So, and they want to make it sort of an annual thing.
Okay, and then we can have backfill if we have some.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
backfill will definitely occur.
important. Okay.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. No.
You're with the eyes, right?
I.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I
Yeah.
have another question. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the 26th, you said it's a couples tournament. Are you also gonna have a Sadie Hawkins, and what's the date on that?
No, that's what's taking place because if you look at the February calendar, every weekend is something.
Okay,
So next year's calendar, though, guess what?
I don't want to.
Oh, well, there's a Sadie Hawkins.
Okay.
Because we're not having the Food Now tournament, and so that then allows us to have the Sadie Hawkins.
Okay.
The city hop is all the women invite Jaime, none of us get picked.
Really? I have, that's not what I read on the bathroom.
Wow.
So Kelly,
No,
are you, the sponsor signs for the upcoming tournament, is that an open discussion topic? We were,
wait for what tournament?
I guess it's your member.
Our
Our
member,
member,
yes,
yes, your member, yes.
yeah, what about it?
We were asked last Friday, which was yesterday.
Oh, yeah, well, yes, okay, so I'm helping the, I'm helping the ladies with that, okay? So, your diehard beginner of this of that group, the Equinockers, has pledged $100 coming from you guys for a sponsor for the member invitation. So, too bad. But he'll be collecting the cash from you all. And since some of you are sitting here, you know, we can just get it now. So basically, yeah, that's what he'll be doing. Yeah.
You didn't answer your question.
Yeah, I, and roundabout, which you did.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be, people will be approached.
People will be approached. I gave them my list, Jim and Steve, just to give you guys a heads up of the people I used last year to sponsor bowls. Just as an FYI.
Just trying to help you get the word out.
Yeah, so yeah, the member invitational, which will be on March 31st through, April 2nd. It has a wine theme, which is pretty good. We're gonna enjoy that part probably more than anything. But they are looking for whole sponsors. And the whole sponsors again are the same as they were last year, which was 100, 250, and 500. And it depends, you know, you can give a little less or a little more, and no one's going to stop you doing that. There are $25 signs also going around, but their names will be grouped on one sign because the signs cost $18 each. So, you know, it doesn't quite make sense. So the names will be listed. So if Connie and Peggy and Denise each gave $25, you know, their names would be listed on one sign. But they're looking for major donors. As you know, we talked about the price of food in F&B, and I sit on the finance committee. Liz and Kim are having a hard time getting a menu together that is reasonable, you know, with the cost of food. So what I dealt with last year for the member invitational has changed dramatically this year. And we all know that we want a great tournament. Same with the Highlander. The WGA and other women also wrote checks for your tournament. So, you know, we're kind of expecting a little bit of give and take here. So,
Do you have is there gonna be a charity,
their charity this year is Two Bunch Palms Elementary School's literacy program.
oh, okay.
And so, Kim has talked to the principal down there and they're getting a list of books that, you know, that you can go out and buy if you wish. And any of that money that doesn't cover some of those costs that's left over like we had last year will go to that charity so that the school has a chance to buy books that are within each classroom's framework that supports the California state framework.
No, is that where the T money goes to?
Yes.
Predominantly. for
And
charity?
predominantly to there. Yeah, once you have all your money figured out, what you're spending. We raised almost $7,000 from key sponsors last year, which helped cover some of the costs. Obviously, and raised the fee by $5. This year, the fee is being raised another $5 for the women. But basically, we're really looking at supporting local charities here. And so I think it's a great charity they chose this year.
Okay. Great, thank
Okay,
you.
any other questions? And Dwayne, good to see you back. Yes, meeting 4:00.
Okay, moving on, Bill, with the Greens Committee.
Okay, Chester Hobbs is prepared to make a splashing presentation on the status of the Green Committee's efforts.
Okay. First off, I'd like to thank Shelley and Eric for covering some things I had written down here. I will probably go ahead and mention them. One of the first things that I had on my list was the course oversee. We're at what, 6-7 weeks into it now. Most of us have had a chance to go out on the course. Does look a little different today than it did in December. The rough is still very rough. The course is still very green. Some of our greens probably due to the cold weather and the rain today don't look as well as they did in the beginning. But I'm sure if you were out today or yesterday and you putted, they still putt fairly well, roll fairly fast. And that's something that Raphael will be working on. One of the things on the overseed, we narrowed the amount of rough that we overseeded. We used less grass of seed on the overseed. And we want people to comment. Do you see a difference in what the course looks like this year versus last year and past years? Is it better? Is it worse? There's certainly some areas where we could probably do some more narrowing. But one of the things we will definitely be looking at is trying to see where we can reduce the amount of turf that we pay for in terms of seed, fertilizer, water, and labor, without damaging the playability of our golf course. So that's just something in the future. So that's one of the things, and I'll make a comment on that a little bit later on. Bird abatement on the lake. This is the second year we tried an experimental program of put strings across the lake. This year we increased the number of grid, number of strings. One of the problems that we ran into, we're finding strings missing, stakes in the lake with strings attached. We went out just before Christmas, did some repairs, did some tightening, went out 2 or 3 days after Christmas. Some of the work that we did the week before was gone. We got to the point of where we decided it's just a waste of time. The project was working. If you notice the small lake, very few birds on the small lake. As I walked around the small lake, there were probably over 40 points of string missing. The big lake, over 60, with stakes missing. We had stakes every 10 feet, about every 10 yards. One of the things that I was concerned about is getting loose string caught in the intake going into the pump. So whoever or whatever, I just don't see the stakes jumping out of the ground. They were 12 inches into the ground. I suggest you contact the person that loves ducks.
Yeah.
Find out who's taking
It's really not up to
Exactly
me. I
right.
mean, we've had our comments, we've had our confrontations, but the volunteers that went out and was, were doing the work, there were some confrontations. It was working. We didn't shoot any ducks. We haven't found any dead birds or any of that. But, so one of the things that we did Thursday was visited, Mountain View Golf Course in La Quinta. We were looking at laser systems. Lots of different things have been suggested, fake
coyotes, fake swans, fake whatever. Talk to different superintendents. Some of this stuff works occasionally. Apparently works better on some birds than other birds. The laser systems are about $2,000 a unit. We would need probably at least 3, 2 for the big lake, 2 for the small lake that float around. My feeling is that whatever we put out there, if people are gonna tamper with it, they're probably gonna tamper with those 2. So that's just something that if anybody has any ideas, feel free to let Eric or David or somebody know that maybe we can try that. So that's it on that one. Though there was a water summit held last Wednesday, Wednesday, January 11th, with over 150 people in the Coachella Valley, superintendents, golf pros, vendors, government people, federal, state, and local. And they were told that by January 31st, they have to submit a plan to the Bureau of Reclamation on how to reduce the water draw from the Colorado River by 2 to 4 million acre feet. That's about half of what they're currently drawing. And the problem is that the water level has dropped so low in Lake Powell and Lake Mead is threatening generation of electricity for about 30 million people. They're not going to let that stop. So what's going to happen is water is going to get cut one way or the other. So it was suggested that courses, everybody, all the players, be proactive, and that's what we're doing. So all of that said, leading into what Eric was saying about the Desertscape project. They will start construction on February the 6th. We're going to take out about 50,000 square feet of turf. And it's a demonstration project to the membership of what our golf course could look like if we could do something like that everywhere we need to it. Fortunately, this one is supported by rebates. Personally, I expect if the drought continues, there'll be more rebate programs. But we need to have projects ready to go to take advantage of it. So I'm excited to see, for you to see, what this looks like and what it does to our course. One of the things that I hope we get to, if any of you looked at the American Express golf tournament on what areas, it looked like it was dead. It wasn't dead, it was dormant, but the Bermuda grass was probably that high. We can do that. You'll have a nice green belt or Desertscape or something, and you'll know where you're supposed to hit your golf ball. So that's one of the things I hope we get to. One of the things, once construction starts, the second week is when they'll be bringing the rock in. They'll be doing all the preliminary work, not the second week, the third or the fourth week. They expect this to be done within 30 days. That's about 20, 25 working days. They don't plan to be working on the weekend. So hopefully bear with us to get this done. It'll get done fairly fast as projects around here go. And I hope you like what you see. That's it.
I got a comment, Chester. Chester?
Yeah.
Maybe you can comment to this. The concern for several of the membership, certainly a concern of mine, has been that the Desertscape has a minimum footprint on the former playability of this golf course. And I was pretty comfortable with this new plan. Obviously, I voted in support of it. But I think some of us have identified an area that's going to come into play, and that's that large strip to the west of the tree on 17. That comes into play a lot. And when it comes into play is you don't have to hit a terrible golf shot to hit that tree, and you'll go over there to the west side of that cart path. And I think that I would challenge the Green Committee to consider putting in an easy to mow little drop zone area, that anything that went into that Desertscape over there, you wouldn't be dropping behind that tree. You'd have the ability to drop in an area that you would have a shot at the green, because as it plays now, anything that goes west of that cart path has a relatively open shot to the flag on 17. So I would just ask if the Green Committee could consider that.
The comment that I would make to that, David, would probably be in talking with Eric's a golf pro, David's a golf pro, bring that up, and we'll certainly bring that up. Number 3 is a par 3. I mean, number 17 is a par 3. The ball technically is supposed to fly to the green. I know it doesn't always do that, but in the orientation of the way our tees are, left of that, west of that, it's a pretty offline shot. But that's certainly something that we can discuss with Eric and David to see what can be done. The placement of the drop area would have to be up to some standards. I mean, it's not just up there to make the hole easier. One of the things that Eric or Shelley brought up is the fact that it was brought up that the design of the hole was for it to be shaved around number 17 and number 10. And that has been, we've started the process of doing that. That started, I think, a couple of days ago, and it should be shaved around even more so. It has to grow in and it'll look better. And the same thing will happen behind number 10. But the establishment of a drop area is something definitely, if it's needed. I mean, I think once we get into this and once it's there, if there are any issues with what's put there, people will look at it and try to figure out a way to deal with the issue. But I really can't speculate at this point.
Okay.
You can do what you can do.
Another question, and it may be for more the golf committee or the pro, but we're going to have to have local rules on this course regarding this new desertscape. Are we going to have the ability to hit out of that as a lateral hazard, or are we going to be required to bring it back onto the golf course?
It'll be just like probably, and again, this is something we talked about and something that can be dealt with. Again, all the other desertscapes and flower beds on this golf course is free relief. Now, if that gets to be a problem, I'm sure they can look at that, but that's fairly easy to solve. Some of the rock, and it depends on where you hit it. This is not going to be DG. This is going to be 3/8 inch rock. We decided to go with the 3/8 inch rock because of the blowing issue and the dust issue and all of that, and it'll stay in place more. You'll be welcome if they decide that they want to make it an integral part of the golf course. You can do that if you want to take the chance of going in there and getting out of that. But I'm almost sure it's going to be a free drop, just like all the other flower beds on this golf course.
Okay, thank you.
We'll just make the drop zone on 17, the orange tee on 18.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a fun shot, it really is.
That's in my report.
Thank you, Chester. That was well done.
You have anything more at all, Bill?
No, that's it for the Green Committee.
Okay, House Committee. Wendy, are you speaking on behalf?
I think so.
Okay.
Couple things, I want to keep it kind of brief. Couple of things, one thing that Dale mentioned about how much we appreciate our employees here in the club. And I don't know whether or not there is a split, some are favor, some are not in favor of what our employees are, do for us, or if it's more that we're in favor of them. I don't know what the split is. I personally appreciate our employees and what they do for us, and I'm pretty sure our board feels the same way. When you appreciate things that people do for you and you want to honor them in some way, I think saying we appreciate you so much and here's a taco is not one of the ways you show appreciation for what our employees have done for us for the year. Our employee Christmas party this year, we had a budget of $4,000 and our employees got a taco and that was it. There was no rice, no beans, no chips, no salsa, nothing, just a taco and a drink. and drink. That is what I would like to ask our finance committee to increase the budget for next year's employee Christmas party.
What was the $4,000?
The $4,000 was spent on music, gifts for the employees. Actually, we spent $3,644.25. And let's see if I can pull up the breakdown of what was spent. We spent $900 on a taco for the employees. Gifts for the employees was $2,302. The DJ was $350. And there were 35 employees, so our total came to $3,644.25 with so we were under budget, but I think that's a little on the pathetic side personally. It was embarrassing to me, and I wasn't here, so I can hide my embarrassment in that way. Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious how many employees we have. I'm curious what happened with the money that you donated.
52 employees, 35 of them were present at the party. The employees did have a great time. We have 2 of them that come to, well, 3 of them, including Eric, 3 of them that come to the House Committee meetings regularly, and I was a little upset about the amount of money that we were allotted. But, and so I was apologizing, and they said, don't apologize, we had a great time. They danced, they partied, they loved your presence, but it was just really an embarrassment.
And they love the tacos. I've heard him so. Taco truck is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
At the party, was there a sign up?
No, there was not. When we have the employee Christmas party is hosted by the club, but the House Committee is in charge of setting that up. And we have always gone with people that we know are going to work and not come up to party themselves. And so we have relied over the years on the same people. Every year we try to give somebody that, somebody that volunteers the benefit of the doubt and give them an opportunity to come up and, try their hand at volunteering. And it's a lot of work. As a paid waitress in my early years, it's not an easy job. I didn't make it for very long. So it's,
Wendy,
yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I guess I'd just like to clarify a point Wendy made. A lot of us, the board of directors was at that event, and some of us have worked this event for years, and it's always something we look forward to giving back to the employees. I need everybody listening here today to know that it was not the board of directors, it was not the House Committee that suggested this taco vendor. This vendor came from the employees that were going to be there. The idea that was employee driven, and it turned out to be there were no sides. There was no. It was horribly disappointing for us to see because we wanted to honor our employees, but we did not pick this vendor to come. Years past, we've had prime rib, we've had a lot of things, and I think the membership needs to understand another thing. We had not one member from the grounds committee at that. And if we did, there was one gentleman I didn't recognize. It could possibly be a new member of that committee, but we have lost a huge amount of participation. I think the club, as members, we need to recognize that. There should be an alarm bell going off and saying, why aren't our employees coming? I mean, we want to honor them. We want them to have a great time. We want them to know what they mean to us. But we've lost a huge amount of participation. So, yeah, that wasn't a great thing, the taco thing that night, no sides, no anything, but that wasn't driven by the Mission Lake Mission Lake Country Club itself. That was an employee requested vendor.
I do appreciate every board member was at that party, and that's not something that I have seen in the past. And so I appreciate, every board member showing up and, showing their appreciation to our staff. I commend you on that. Thank you. Other things coming up, the inn is, due for an overhaul. And there are several different categories of things that are budgeted for the year 2023. And so we are looking at putting together some ideas of what should be done in the inn that we can, improvements that we can make, and also things that desperately need to be replaced. We have Ollie coming up, like Eric suggest or already spoke about. Ollie is, and these are in the back. If you have one, you can pick them up. If there's any others, they'll come back there. There's a website that you can go to. It's the California State San Bernardino /Ollie. And you can get more information there. Our first lesson is going to be on discovering the valley's treasures. It's all about the Coachella Valley and the history of the Coachella Valley. And this guy also does other tours and walking tours in the area. He takes people out to different areas, shows them the wildlife and things like that that are in that specific area. So he's very knowledgeable about the area. One of the things with Ollie, if you, they would like to use Mission Lakes as a satellite campus for classes. That's why they are coming here. They are giving us this lesson for free to entice us into signing up, registering and becoming Ollie members, and also hoping to get us on board of allowing them to come up here and teach classes here. Their registration is $75 per year per person. A 3-week class is usually about $30. 6-week classes are $60. You have, with the $75 registration fee, you have free parking on campus if there are classes that you would be interested in taking on campus. It also gives you access to traveling plans that they make. They offer classes. There is a class, I think that one was in December. There was a class on symphony orchestras, and they went to Orange County to the Pacific Symphony Orchestra at the Segerstrom Hall. So there's things like that that are close, and there are also trips that are farther away. I believe they have a trip planned to Italy, and so you'll take the classes and study about Italy, and then you pay and go on that trip to Italy and things like that. So they have a lot of things that they offer. If you're interested, and that will be on March 2nd at 4 o'clock. That is a free class. Hopefully what we're planning to do is, because Thursday night is our first night of dining, we're going to have a tie-in with the dinner being, so you're gonna have a stay, plan to stay and have dinner after the lessons, or that lesson for the day. So that's it on Ollie. And I think that's about it. Do you have anything else, Dave?
No.
I thought you were gonna say you were ignoring me. But I was ignoring you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, the member communications.
I'm gonna try to make this very brief, okay? As Eric, our GM, had mentioned earlier, we're getting ready to roll out our new website. We've been diligently working on it. I shouldn't say me, but Mari, Sandra, Ken, Greg,
Everybody, Sue Moore, Ketchum, she's been integral to this. You guys are doing an unbelievable job, and we are also going to roll out on the next, I believe it's the next statement that you'll get in the mail. It's a new questionnaire, if you will. It's a member update form. This is it right here. Okay, there's a lot that's been added to this. Please take the time and fill it out. New email addresses, if you have them. With our demographics in this community, we have a lot of younger people coming in, so it's got a place for the names of the children, if they're in pre-elementary, elementary, junior high, or college. Status of the residency, whether you're a weekender or a full-time resident, etc., and areas of interest. And it's everything from pickleball. If we can get the kids involved, that's what this is trying to do. Okay, so please fill it out. That's really good. As far as the website, hopefully we'll be up and running by what they say.
Mid-March.
Yeah, mid-March. Okay, we should have everything dialed in then. We'll have control of the website, which is very nice. So Greg Stark, who is our resident photographer, who you saw that donated the beautiful picture. Greg is going to go around to different things that we're doing in this club and taking more photographs. If you haven't seen it yet, the new newsletter is outstanding. And if you get a chance, thank Erin Jones in our office. She has done a tremendous job. So you see her, just say thank you very much, because it is great. Basically, that's about. Oh, we're also going to be having a contest to name the newsletter. That's coming up shortly. Ken's going to be doing that. That's it in a nutshell. More to come next month.
Okay, Jaime, do you have anything?
Yeah, let me show you guys how to do brief. I spoke to Larry Careview yesterday. He said everything's been quiet, and that's our report.
There you go. Wow, that's great. Cool and red.
Mine's gonna be quicker than his, so. In the essence of time, I think when we do our monthly newsletter report, all this information is gonna be on there. The minutes will have what I have for that. There's a lot of things that I was gonna say tied in with Eric's report, so for now, that's it.
Perfect.
Thank you, Eddie.
Okay. Let's see, the one deal here, are you gonna do that in two? Is it? We're gonna do one in two?
Yeah, I don't really understand.
This guy here. Thanks.
Yeah, I can't. No old.
Yeah, and there's Mr. Stanley. We want to get on there.
Okay, Dave, on your deal there, I think we're gonna put that under new business, is that right?
Are we in new business?
Not yet, we just gotta make sure there's no old business, I don't think we have anything. So, let's go ahead and you go ahead and speak on behalf of what you have for.
Okay, under new business today, I'm gonna be presenting a motion here in a moment, but I want to go over a little bit about it. I made available a copy of our revised bylaws, and when you came in, you had an opportunity to pick one up. I did ask that we had one line highlighted. I'm not sure if that happened or not, but if you would refer to 4.11.8, and that's regarding committees here and the board creating committees or committees in their charters. If you go down to the second to the last line, it reads, the board of directors shall have the following standing advisory committees consistent with the charters adopted by the board of directors from time to time. Those committees are finance, greens, house, golf, future planning, pool and recreation, and member communication. And as you know, we have ACC committee, and at times we have other committees. If you look at the wording in those last two lines, I would just ask you to look at a couple of important words in there. The board of directors shall, and the word shall indicates the need for, and that they're going to do that. And then if you refer to standing would refer to an enduring committee. I think in these revised bylaws, it's clear that the intent of our bylaws are to have the board of directors keep certain committees in standing at all times. I feel like we're not in compliance with what we're mandated to do by these documents. This is the revised documents dated 2020 and signed by the board president at that time and the vice president at that time. I'm going to make a motion at this time I'm going to make a motion to reestablish and reseat the future planning committee. I know that there's been a lot of controversy in the past regarding this committee. I would love that our new charter would address any concerns. I would love to have this committee embraced by the other committees as a committee that they can go to if they choose and ask for some expertise. The membership here that is applied for this committee already is outstanding. And this is a brain trust. We have a tremendous brain trust. We've talked about it in the past here at MLCC, both active members on committees and people that have been on committees in the past. Right now we've got 9 applicants. We're going to leave the application process open for another month. We're going to post that application process. We're going to ask for e-blasts on that application process. We want to make sure any member at Mission Lakes has an opportunity to get their name in and contribute if necessary. But these members that we're going to put forth today are outstanding experts, retired experts in the field of identifying plant issues. There are people that have had hundreds of people in the trades work for them at times, and they absolutely know the ins and out of a contract and specifications of building projects and how to get a job done in a timely manner. The benefit of adding that caveat and changing the charter of this committee is that we're going to enhance the opportunity for the board of directors, the general manager, these other committees, if they decide they'd like to have a little bit of extra eyes on specifying a contract that they're planning on doing, they can ask for help from this committee, and we would lend our expertise. I'm putting my name out to be a liaison for this committee. And at this point in time, and I'd also like to state, like the majority of committees here, the finance committee withstanding, the majority of committees here are made up of volunteers, and we have no authority. We are in an advisory role for the behalf of the membership and to lend any expertise we have, just like Pool and Rec, just like ACC, just like the House Committee. And this committee is no different. We exercise no authority. And if a committee comes to us and asks for our help, we'd be happy to help. If the board of directors and the general manager decide that it's a good idea for this committee to help, then we would make ourselves available at that point in time. So that being said, I'd like to move forward with the motion, and it would be this motion. The board of directors will seat an ad hoc committee that will act as the future planning committee up until the point the board of directors votes on the adoption of the revised future planning committee's charter. The board of directors will publicly and email post the ability for our membership to apply for a position on the permanent committee when the final chapter is approved. And I will make myself available as the liaison. So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with this ad hoc committee.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion?
Yeah. First of all, the need for a committee, those things that you said, Dave, I strongly agree with you. I think we tend to get ourselves into difficult situations. We don't have enough information. The RFCA's come in after the fact. All of these types of things is what I continually see, but on the finance side, is that we do something and then we try to cover our tracks and maybe try to renegotiate. But having said that, the areas that you mentioned, the contracts, getting in deeper into procurement agreements, processing, setting up some standards for procurement, all of those things, receivables, those types of things, I think is needed. What on a fundamental basis, having an ad hoc committee to do some of these things is and that's the things I'm speaking of are the things that I said. What I don't see, Dave, is any verbiage about what this ad hoc committee's mission statement is in the interim until we formally come up with an approved charter that complements all of our committees, not just because we've read the initial proposal. I'll be honest, I was not fond of it because I think there was some conflicts, and I think you probably saw that as well. And so the beauty here is that to make this committee work, eventually it has to complement the other committees. They're not going to trump one another. They need to be able to work in concert, and there should be, we just can't have that because we're all volunteers. I personally think that this committee should have 7 members instead of 5. I think that is a better representation of our members, because it's a very important committee. And when you're looking at long-term planning, ultimately, obviously, the board needs to step up and make those difficult solutions, but having some recommendations on prioritizing reserve spending and those sorts of things is very, very good. My only problem with this today is I don't know what the charter is for this ad hoc committee.
Can I speak to that, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill, good point. And I am in error. I had planned on, I read what this motion was, and I omitted the fact that this ad hoc committee that I think will be in place for about a month will be operating under the old charter of the former, the last future planning committee. Now that charter, we have forwarded our charter to our legal team. They are putting some lipstick on it and legalese on it. And that charter will give all committees some assurance that there will not be any overstepping in this. But for now, time is of the essence. We've been talking about this committee for months and months, 6-7 months, and we were in season. And before you know it, we're going to be rapidly approaching the end of the season. And this committee needs to get seated. It needs to get started in an ad hoc role. And we would be adopting the old mission statement for that month until we get the new one out. And obviously, the board of directors is going to have to approve that new mission statement. Simple as that.
And subsequent to that, it's a policy. So the membership, I believe, needs to approve the new ad hoc committee.
No, I think you're in error on that. I think all the authority lies.
Yeah, not an ad committee. I mean a permanent standing committee.
No, yeah, I think if you refer to 4.11.8, our bylaws are very clear on that. Our bylaws, when you use the word shall and standing in those bylaws, I don't see how anybody can argue the fact that the spirit of these bylaws are to have those named committees in place at all time. And any reasonable person would tell you that this future planning committee is by far one of the most important committees that any large plant operation would be. I have never been involved in a large plant operation that didn't have a future planning committee looking 5 or 10 years down the road. It's only in the best interest of the membership. And we have been without one for 2 years. There's no reason to talk about why it got eliminated in the past. That's not beneficial to the conversation. But this committee has been recognized as a necessity in our bylaws. And we have a former board president who put his name on the bottom of this on these revised bylaws. So I think it's quite clear.
I'm not disagreeing at all with what you're saying. I think there's some misunderstanding there. Like I said, to start with, I agree with this direction, and with a complementary committee that will take on those tough burdens of dealing with contracts and purchase agreements and those sorts of things. I have no problem with that. And I'm not, with regard to this document that you pulled up, thank you for that 4.11.8. The future planning committee, standing committee is in there. When I first got on the board, I went through our rules and regs and governing documents from front to back because I needed to know. And there are several errors in our governing documents where we forgot or where we misprinted and we forgot to remove some language. And I think, in my opinion, that's what happened here. So, and they forgot to add the ACC committee. So the other comment that I think was misunderstood by me is that I think that bylaws must be publicized for 30 days and be approved by the membership. Now, I'm not positive, but I believe that's the process.
Correct.
Yeah, well, I am not asking, and I think this really needs to stay with board members during this discussion, but I am not asking for any bylaw changes. I'm moving forward with the bylaws that are in place. Like the Constitution of our country, you're either going to go by the Constitution or you're going to interpret it the way you think the Constitution should be written. But I'll tell you what, this board, these governing documents are what we have today, regardless of what somebody wanted a couple of years ago, regardless of what got omitted. This is what we have. This is the rule of law for this club right now. And it states clearly that this future planning committee is one of the standing committees. There's just, I don't see anybody can question that. And so I will be moving forward with this motion.
Dave,
where's the charter?
Dave, I mean, I see exactly what you see. I say it says shall and future planning is listed. Now, that may be a mistake, but it is in our governing documents. It becomes controlling at that point. There are two additional parts of the bylaws there. It says that the board can create committees pursuant to resolutions adopted by a majority of the board. So if the majority of this board says we want to create a popsicle committee, we can do so. We don't need a vote membership to do that. And it also says the board from time to time will create charters. So again, we can create, modify, change, produce charters anytime we want, again, without any kind of a vote from the membership. So I think we're making this way too complex.
I agree with you. I mean, I've already seconded.
Just talking about process here, and I'm for this committee. I said that the very 15 minutes ago. All I'm talking about is when it gets down to the brass tacks and we have an approved charter for the new committee. That my belief is that process, because it is in the bylaws, is that it needs to be presented to the membership. Now, could be wrong, but I believe that's the process.
Okay.
I have found that nowhere, Bill. I'd love for you to bring that up, but I do find something right here in like.
Hang on, Dave. We're voting on an ad hoc committee.
Right.
So basically, once this goes through, if we need to tell the membership about that, we definitely will.
I agree. If we don't, he was the one who
I was saying what I thought was the process.
Yeah.
And the ad hoc committee is totally separate. All I asked him was, what is the ad hoc committee's charter? And he just answered that and said, we're gonna use the old 2020 or 2019 charter for the committee. Now, I don't know what that says, but
Okay, are we gonna vote?
Eddie?
Yep.
Okay,
Well, wait a minute. I thought this was board discussion. I thought this was board discussion. President,
Sex
Mr.
is-
President.
Yeah, Connie was first. to be fair.
Yeah,
Hang on a second.
okay, first of all, we need to, do we have a copy of the finance or the future planning committee, charter from prior?
And where are the charters?
I think we do have one that we can get, that's in,
But
should be in your office.
what you're doing is,
Yeah,
it's
ad hoc.
an ad hoc committee.
Right.
For future planning, so I mean, basically, or we wanted to call it strategic planning. So I mean, that's what he's
Yeah.
asking for right
Right, and I believe we can go ahead and create an ad hoc.
now. You need a
committee.
charter for an ad hoc committee.
No,
You don't.
no.
No.
So we can go ahead and grant the ad hoc committee
Correct.
the ability to.
What Sam's
what-
saying,
What was on motion on the floor.
yes,
So,
you can't, but there's some questions.
So my question to you.
No,
is-
no, wait, this is board discussion. This is not open to members' discussion now. Am I wrong, Mr. President? We are going to a vote.
it is board discussion.
Board discussion, Connie.
This is board
Okay,
discussion.
so
It's limited
the
to-
other things that we always talk about that
Oh,
we can.
come on now, get up.
That we can ask questions. You let us
No,
ask questions on
Mr.
Rich.
President, would you get control of the meeting, please?
Yeah.
We are going to a vote now.
Who's gonna be on the committee?
Just a second. Let's go ahead and let's get going with let's move over.
All right, so Dave made the motion, Sam seconded it, right?
Right, okay,
We had discussion.
we've had discussions, and so all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
any opposed? Okay. Now, we have an ad hoc committee, as far as that goes, if a member wants to comment. And go ahead and make your comments,
I have a question.
okay?
I heard that you were that you had gotten 9 applicants and that you were gonna go out for another 30 days asking for more applicants. How are you going to appoint people to the ad hoc committee you just created now if you're leaving applications open for the next 30 days? That's all I wanna know.
Well,
How are you going to select the ad hoc representatives?
this
I
is,
can answer that if you like.
yeah, go ahead.
Now that this has been voted on and approved, my next step, I will be voting to approve the members of the ad hoc committee. They will sit for the next month, but for the permanent committee, we will be leaving it open and we will be accepting more members if they want to participate in that. So I guess if that answers that question at this time, I'd like to make a motion to seat the members of this ad hoc committee. But before I do, I would like, to Bill's point, I'd like to ask this board their opinion. I was planning on putting up 5 voting members, which is pretty customary for these committees. But if the board feels strongly that we have 7 voting members, I have no reservations about that. I think it may be just fine. Can I get the rest of the board to weigh in?
I'll tell you, Dave, I support 7, and I think you've got a huge number of qualified individuals that have shown interest in this. I don't think you have any problem getting the people in the alternates to fill that.
Would
Yeah.
anybody else weigh in? Yeah.
7. I also agree with 7 voting members. I think that this committee should be for 7.
7. I'm for 7.
Okay, I like 7 too. I like 7 too. So at this point in time, I'd like to make a motion to seat the voting members of this committee, and then I will name the alternates. The people that I would put forward for voting members would be Dean Carter, Kenneth Grant, Richard Wilkins, Phil Anderson, Jim Smithams, Tom Wagner, and Gary Eastham. With alternates being Jim Lottie and Courtney Moe.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed?
This is gonna be the longest meeting we've ever had.
Yeah, I think.
I'm trying to get it.
All right, so basically this creates an ad hoc committee. As far as anything that's gonna go to a regular standard committee, gotta go through the proper process on that. We're gonna need a charter and move on in that direction. So I assume that's the next step that you're considering to do.
Yeah, that is exactly what we're going to do. We have the first draft of the charter submitted to our legal team.
Yeah.
You know, we quite possibly might add a fourth paragraph that answers any questions of overstepping by this committee. There's some members in the room today that I'd like to talk to about their concerns and get some input from, so I can alleviate any concerns moving forward with the permanent committee.
Dave, I'd like to make a motion that you are accepted as the liaison for the committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, so would you like to address a couple of the questions that some of our members have
Yes.
prior to adjourning? Okay, well, we have Connie present.
You took care of it.
Okay, Sandra,
I understand some people have volunteered to be on that committee with us. The advertising was put out to the membership that there might be other, and from a perspective, in my point of view, all guys. Yeah, there's not one woman. Not one woman.
well, I believe this is what the premise is to do the ad hoc committee and in the interim, be able to actually create the future planning committee.
Yeah.
So the
It was announced at board meeting.
it's been announced for about, yeah, I mean, they've been discussing
We
this.
put out a flyer for absolutely everything, and announced ABC committee all the time.
It's actually been discussed
At least.
for a while, but
You know,
you're more than welcome to fill out an app. And that's the thing, you know, that's the beauty about here. Pretty much anybody can be on the committee, as far as being an alternate or a voting member, depending on, you know, when they actually form the committee.
With the side question that came up in our meeting at the member communication, Sam. I knew some of these things, I thought I read all the bylaws and such, I'm familiar with from other places. You get new members on your committee, or you have to reapply every year to be on the committee?
Correct. Every year. And that's one thing that we do need to consider, and that is, in the future moving forward. Our committees end the same time the board ends. They should actually go one additional month. Because then you end up with absolutely no operating committee for 1 month.
Yeah.
So it actually is pretty ridiculous.
April is chaos.
Yeah, what's that?
Is that in the charter?
Yeah, it actually, yeah, I mean, it's in our, I think it's in our bylaws. So, it just, we need to make an adjustment in our bylaws. So that this actually makes sense. It's something that should be done and should have been done, so, in fact.
If it hasn't come up in a conversation, I would not have had it.
Yeah, no, and it's something that we were discussing, you know, in executive session, in fact, the year prior, Peggy, we discussed this, that it should have been done. So,
It happened when we moved the voting for the board up.
Yeah.
Because it used to be June or July.
Right.
Or May or whatever, so you already had your committees and the way you went. So
Yeah.
That was never adjusted.
Now it needs to be readjusted, so, yeah, it's something.
You know,
that we-
Jim, Jim, I probably did a pretty inadequate job of touching on the major components of the duties of this new committee. For anybody that doesn't understand or hasn't followed a future planning committee or this future planning committee in the past, our primary objective is to identify future spending in regards to plant needs. That's existing or future needs. And so when I say plan, I'm talking about your clubhouse, I'm talking about your maintenance building, I'm talking about your fixed access, your parking lots, your lighting, heavy fixed assets. Also, I feel strongly that those 2 deep wells should probably be part of the purview of this committee as well. But our primary focus is to try and give the finance committee a heads up of what we think is coming down the road. And we have a study done every year for our
Reserve study. Yeah.
reserve study. And so this committee would work hand in hand with that study and work with the finance committee. So that's probably the key role. But there's been some deficiencies. There's been some deficiencies that have been exposed over the last 10 years on some of the major spendings on behalf of the membership. We've had fantastic volunteers involved in projects with a lot of dedication, a lot of time involved, but there's been several projects that have been done 2 or 3 times before we were able to get that done right. Well, I think nobody would argue the fact that it gets more expensive to keep redoing a project rather than get it done right the first time. So if we can assist in that process, that's what I think the caveat to the new charter of this committee would be, to lend some expertise into making sure the membership is not spending any more money on that thing and it gets done right the first time.
I think for a simple analogy would just be, say you're gonna put new flooring in the kitchen. But you have plumbing below. Yeah. So basically it's just, they're stating, hey, on the list, this could potentially be bad. Let's replace the piping before we do the flooring. Just to save some money, not tear up something you just did. It's very simple.
That wasn't the question. The question was not, what is it? Strategic planning is strategic planning. Many of us have worked in that kind of thing. It's not that hard. When I've been to the last couple of board meetings, I missed one. The discussion was, well, yeah, we kind of want this committee and we're not sure exactly what they're going to be doing and such. And there was kind of a mushiness, so we say, to it. Think it's great.
Yeah.
Think it's great.
Okay, good deal. And you're more than invited to, like I said, fill out an application. Anybody in here or any member that's going to be going out in an e-blast as well. So more the better. Anyways, let's get out of here, man. We've been here way too damn long.
Candidate forum.
You know what? That's something that, yeah, we need to find out from our inspector of elections.
Who was that?
That is Judy Grant. So we need to find out when that is happening.
Judy Graham?
Yeah, we put her in 2 months ago.
Make a motion to adjourn. Hold on. Is that a lien list that we have to read out? Or is it a legal list to approve?
Because the lien list has to be done.
Because if we have the APN numbers and all that, that has to be read into that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the gift card. But if we had a lien list, then we need to have it.
I didn't get the.
Yeah, apparently we did it.
If we do.
We're just holding off because there apparently is a delinquent lien list that we have to read into the open. We haven't picked the number yet.
Oh, I can pick the number, yeah. Number 1. Wow. There you go. Harry. I don't know if Harry's last name, but it's Harry. What is it? Okay. Okay, and we're gonna, before we adjourn, we'll read in the lien list. It's the lien list, and then we can adjourn officially. None of these guys care about that.
I'm not on it, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. Why you're not on? Okay. Yeah, but whether people are here or not, doesn't matter, it's still open.
As long as that's still on. As long as we're still broadcasting.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and I guess they got.
All right, the room is empty. We cleared the room.
That's good.
The minute you cut the cake, you clear the room.
Okay, so we're gonna be authorizing the start of foreclosure proceedings on delinquent liens for the following homeowners. APN 661-11023. APN number 661-082-007. And APN number 661-172-002. And APN 661-122-010. Okay, the rest we do in executive session.
All right. So they'll be entered.
Is that a motion?
You got it.
That's
a
just,
motion.
That's a motion.
Yeah. Those will be entered in, so you
Yeah,
need
that's-
somebody to second.
that's a motion.
Right, okay.
To start lead for.
I'll second.
Any,
Seconded by Aldrich.
there you go. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any nays? All right, and let's adjourn the meeting at 4:24.
This is, we have to go into executive session. And make that decision.
Oh,
I think those are the choices for which we're.
Are they all in here or 2 minutes?